Happy Tuesday, everyone. So, let's get to my low, my high, and my act of kindness before I talk about the very important thing I was going to talk about today. In fact, getting ready for this very important thing I was going to talk about today was my high, because I had finally just succeeded in completing it. My low, yeah, it was the rain. Sorry, but the fact that yesterday was an all too familiar day for me. The fact it wasn't all too familiar weather for said day, yeah, school's going to start up tomorrow for a lot of kids. And don't worry, I'm preparing my, back to school address. So don't worry, that's going to be tomorrow. And my act of kindness was I helped my dad clean up the cottage up at Cuca Lake before we went home. So, what am I going to talk about today? Well, if you recall on Sunday, I had mentioned that there actually is one team that's not the Dallas Cowboys that I actually do want to see go to the Super Bowl and win. And after so long, I think it's finally their time to do so. If you take one thing away from this very video, it's that nobody circles the wagons like the Buffalo Bills. Yes, I do think the Buffalo Bills are finally going to win the Super Bowl this year. In fact, I dare say, I'm going all in with them. Really and truly. I mean, if the Cowboys somehow make the playoffs, of course I'll root for the Cowboys because they are the team I root first and foremost. But as I mentioned before, I'm in the heart of Bills Mafia territory. And as crazy as the Bills Mafia fans are, and trust me, crazy is an understatement, the Bills Mafia are filled with some of the nicest, kindest people you will ever hope to see. Now, I think it's finally time those good people won themselves a Lombardi trophy. So I've compiled a list of 10 things that not absolutely need to happen, but 10 things need to happen for the Bills to win the Super Bowl this year. Now, technically, all 10 things I'm about to mention don't have to happen, but I will be getting into the absolutely must-have things as we go on. For now, I'll just start with the very, very obvious things. For example, number 10, the Bills must win the AFC East. Yes, they could get in with a wild card, but come on. It's just better to win your division to make it to the playoffs. We all know this. Plus, with the Dolphins' acquisition of Tyreek Hill, and Tyreek Hill saying, the last 2 years I ended the Bills season, so I think I'm going to do that again. Somebody please shut up Tyreek Hill. Please. I don't hate Tyreek Hill, not at all. But when someone makes a statement like that, they need to be told to shut up. Either outright or just straight up beating them on the field. And luckily, the Buffalo Bills are just the team to do that. And you would think, and here's the thing, winning the AFC East is probably the easiest thing they could do on this list. And I would still say it's pretty hard to do. I mean, the Patriots are going to be making some noise again. I mean, Mac Jones taking the Patriots to the playoffs wasn't by accident, And yeah, the Dolphins definitely got better, especially now they have Tyreek Hill. Although that might actually expose Tua Tagovailoa, maybe. I don't know, but there you go. So number 10, the Bills must win the AFC East. Now number 9, this is a little more important. Should the Bills make it to the playoffs, either by winning the division or becoming a wild card, all 22 starters that the Bills start with this year have to be 100% healthy going into the playoffs. It's just a confidence thing, but you feel better when you have, let's be honest, the saying goes, playing with a full deck. If all 22 starters are healthy going into the playoffs, that is the Bills' full deck, for sure. I certainly would feel more confident for the Bills if that was the case. I'm just saying. Now, number 8, here's where we start getting into the very more important things. Now, Actually, no, come to think of it, I probably did this list a little bit wrong. Actually, no, I didn't. Never mind. I thought I have the list right in front of me, below me, just to see if I have anything wrong. But no, I don't. So number 8, the Bills have to be the number 1 seed of the entire AFC going into the playoffs. They just have to. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. They have to be the number 1 seed. Why? Because I want to see the Bills. I want to see the road to the Super Bowl go through Highmark Stadium. That has to be the case. But just going through your hometown doesn't mean perfect without the proper conditions for it. That's why number 7 is the weather must be perfect. What do I mean by that? If there is one thing you need to know about playing in Buffalo, it is windy. Like, we're talking Chicago levels of windy. And luckily, the Bills are very much used to playing in that sort of way. So that's a good thing. Now, you're probably wondering at this point, wow, these are all pretty obvious facts, but why would you even make a video like that if you're going to say facts like that? Well, for one thing, I just mentioned that as we go further along, the things I'm about to mention are becoming increasingly important. But also, the inspiration for this video came with number 6, Von Miller. With the acquisition of Von Miller, I really do think that, actually, I'm not the only one who thinks this. A lot of pundits are saying that this is the best team that the Bills have had since the 4 Super Bowls they went to and lost in the 90s. That's how good this team is. And Von Miller even said himself, the Bills are good. I think they're just missing that missing piece. Von Miller pretty much Von Miller did not outright say this, but he implied it. Von Miller has to be that missing piece that the Bills need to get to the Super Bowl and win. And Von Miller has to live up to that word. And I love me some Von Miller. I think Von Miller is a nice guy. He was on Hot Ones, So I can tell you for a fact, I was super happy to hear that. Von Miller to the Bills? Okay, now I really think they can win. However, that does have to go to number 5. Now, I mentioned earlier that the Bills must be the number 1 seed of the entire AFC. Does that absolutely have to happen? Technically, no. But, and this is number 5, by the way, if the Bills aren't the number 1 seed, in the name of all that is holy, don't let the seed above them be Kansas City. See, some people out there know what I'm talking about, but for those of you who don't know, the last 2 years, the Bills made it to the playoffs. They lost at Arrowhead to the Chiefs. At this point, I do not feel comfortable with it happening again. I just don't. Even with Von Miller, even with them acquiring Von Miller, I still don't like those chances. Anyone will tell you that it is, I'll just say it, it's nigh on impossible to win at Arrowhead. It took a Herculean effort by the GOAT to do so, Tom Brady. And you guys are probably wondering, well, Joe Burrow and the Bengals did that last year. Yes, they did. But that wasn't a Herculean effort so much as it was a very, very, very good team in the Bengals taking advantage of the one mistake that the Chiefs had made. The Chiefs had rested on their laurels. They had just beaten the Buffalo Bills the week before, and they thought, well, we just beat the one team that really could stand a chance against us. We'll just walk right over the Bengals. But the Bengals were not going to fall for that. That's why the Bengals won. And even though I did pick the Rams to win in last year's Super Bowl, I really would have been just as happy if the Bengals won. Don't get me wrong, I love the Bengals. I love Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, they're all good guys. I like those guys. They're great. But, that wasn't a Herculean effort. That really was the Bengals taking advantage of the fact that the Chiefs were counting their chickens before they hatch. That's what wound up happening. And if you watch the highlights of that game, that's exactly what wound up happening. I know that's the case. Now we got to get to number 4. Several years ago, in fact, 2 years ago, one of the greatest acquisitions I think the Bills ever could have gotten was when they acquired Stephon Diggs. So, needless to say, Stephon Diggs needs to play lights out like he's been doing the last couple of years. But I'm not just talking about that. See, if there's one thing you need to know about Stephon Diggs, because here's the thing, when Stephon Diggs retires, I really do think he's going to make the Hall of Fame. And when he does, the one play that's going to stick out the most is the Minneapolis Miracle. See, before he went to the Bills, he was on the Vikings. For those of you who don't know, before he was on the Bills, he played for the Vikings. And in the NFC divisional round, the Vikings were at home against the Chiefs, but the Chiefs were about to win, and Stephon Diggs made a miracle happen. A Minneapolis miracle happen. Basically, if the Bills want to win the Super Bowl this year, Stephon Diggs needs to make another miracle happen. Actually, you know what? No. Not another miracle happen. It's time Stephon Diggs wrote another chapter in his, storied career, long story. Let me start that over. It's time that Stephon Diggs wrote another chapter in the book that is his long and storied career. He's got to go from Minneapolis Miracle to Highmark Happening. Oh, yes. I'm being dead serious on that one. You gotta go from MM to HH, okay? Come on, you guys know how much I love alliteration. Alliteration's awesome. Now, 3 and 2 pretty much kind of go hand in hand, but I decided to separate them because there's a clear difference. Now, number 3, it's got to go with the guy, Josh Allen. I have no doubt in my mind Josh Allen is a top 5 quarterback. And he has been in contention for the MVP before. He's got to do that again. Josh Allen needs to continue to play lights out like he's been doing the last 2 years and be in contention for that MVP award. But there is a caveat, and that goes with number 2. Josh Allen must not win the MVP. Oh yes, you heard that correctly. Josh Allen, under no circumstances, can win the MVP. Now, I'm sure a bunch of you are probably thinking, wait, you want him to be in contention for the MVP? Yes. But you don't want him to win the MVP? Also, yes. See, some of you guys are probably looking at this video at this point rather confused at that, but other football fans know exactly what I'm talking about. If you don't know what I'm talking about, don't worry, I will explain because I'm nice like this. No player that's ever won, actually that's not entirely true, since Kurt Warner in 1999, no player that's ever won the league MVP has won a Super Bowl that same year. Now, some of those players would eventually win a Super Bowl. In fact, it happened most recently to Patrick Mahomes. He had won the MVP. He lost in the AFC Championship to Tom Brady. And a year later, he won the Super Bowl. But those are 2 different seasons. No player that's ever won the MVP has won the Super Bowl in the same season. Now, could Josh Allen be... it's essentially been a curse at this point. That's what this is. It's the curse of the MVP. There's no other better way to describe it. Now, could Josh Allen break this curse? Perhaps. But again, at this point, it's essentially a curse, and I really don't like those odds. I just don't. It's just not... It just doesn't make any sense at this point. Sorry to say, but, and don't get me wrong, if Josh Allen wins the MVP, I'm going to be tickled pink for him. Trust me, I will be extremely happy. I love Josh Allen. Josh Allen's awesome. He's a nice guy. He's a class act. You know, he is exactly the sort of he's exactly the sort of role model that the younger generation should look up to. I love that. That's awesome. But I know a curse, but any true football fan knows a curse when they see one, and the curse of the MVP is something that I'd rather not see happen to Josh Allen. But then again, I could be wrong about that, and Josh Allen could actually break the curse. He could, in fact, win the MVP and the Super Bowl this same year. And this year could be that very year. In fact, a lot of people are saying that Josh Allen has the best hopes of winning the MVP. I actually kind of hope they're right. But I put him not winning the MVP as an item on this list because, again, the curse of the MVP. So there you go. Now, if that's number 2, why on earth is number 1? Well, it's actually something I alluded to earlier. And number 1 is that the Buffalo Bills absolutely need now more than ever, the love and support of the very good people known as the Bills Mafia. Yes, I know the Bills Mafia gets sort of a rap for being rambunctious, crazy, breaking tables, flipping over tables. Pretty much they're like the worst nightmare for any table. And yeah, they are. But underneath all that, they are some of the nicest, kindest people you will ever hope to meet. Believe me, I have a bunch of friends who are in the Bills Mafia. And as an outsider, I know there are some nice people. All they really want is a Super Bowl. And I really do think this is the year they do it. I mentioned earlier I was all in, and I mean it. I especially mean it when I have to bring up the fact that this is probably the best team that the Bills have had in quite a long time. And I believe the saying goes, nothing gold can stay. I really do think at some point that window is going to close. And I fear that might start this year. Considering everything I just talked about, the acquisitions that the Bills have gotten, and everything that absolutely either has to happen or must happen, or anything in between. If the Bills don't win the Super Bowl this year, I really don't think they're ever going to win it. It's got to be now. They have to go to the Super Bowl and win it like now. But we'll be seeing that as time goes on. So, to the Bills Mafia, this video was for you. I hope you all liked it. Really, I hope anyone watching this liked this video. And if you did, leave a like on my YouTube channel and subscribe to my YouTube channel. That would be very nice. Follow me on social media. And as always, I am very humbled that I made this video for all of you guys to watch and enjoy for today. I'm very hopeful. Well, obviously, I'm hopeful that we all have a wonderful day. But honestly, since I pretty much mentioned I was all in, I'm hoping that the Bills do what they got to do to win the Super Bowl. Because I really do think it's finally their time. The good people in Buffalo deserve that. I just hope that I'm right about that. And I hope that the Bills Mafia continues to show their undying support for their own Buffalo Bills. Because as I just said before, nobody circles the wagons like the Buffalo Bills. Oh, you're probably wondering, I got myself a SpongeBob tattoo. Anyway, and as always, if you ever want to talk or chat, I'm always going to be here to let you know, always here back, take care, and make good choices. Or if you want to talk about football, I'm here for that too. Football's starting in a couple days. I'm so excited. Okay, 6 or 7 all day, baby.